Wonderful day and welcome. My name is Seth and we are back with another Frontier video finally, because we still have a few things to go and obviously we're gonna tackle those. Today's topic will be the Transcendence mechanic inside of Monster the Frontier. Shouldn't be too long of a video, but we will see. I even have some little footage today, this time around. I know I'm usually not very good with high quality gameplay, and sometimes it's just very boring when you just see me standing there and talking about stuff. I know that myself. I'm just not really good with video editing at all. I'm just a casual guy with like mediocre skills, so bear with me. But I thought for this kind of special occasion, we can have a little bit of footage in there to make it a little bit more spicy up. Of course, some people prefer having like just voice, so they can have this like in the background doing something else, etc, etc, but some stuff is just visually better to show off. So what is Transcendence? Well, Transcendence or Transcend is a skill or a little mechanic, a buff you can apply to yourself to, if you ever watched anime or manga, there's this like ultimate super finisher rage mode protagonist attack, which they yell out super loud, have it on screen with the biggest text you can ever see, having an epic animation, etc. on it. This is literally Transcend. And I know what you're thinking now, but bear with me. We're gonna get there. Transcend is literally that. It is a buff you can apply to yourself, a rage mode, which gives you a stat increases, and you have the opportunity when conditions are met that you can do a finisher attack which does massive damage, and depending on the element of your weapon, an extra, debuff on the monster. But wait, debuff on the monster? How is that possible? Yes, Frontier does have debuff mechanics for monsters. There's a little debuff mechanic which Hunting Horn has on extreme style, where you can debuff the monster's hit zone, etc. And Transcend on top of this has also a debuff mechanic depending on the element. But we're gonna come to that. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? After you reach Hunter rank 3, you talk with your guildmaster, and then usually you just unlock the Transcendence menu or the entire mechanic. And for that you just go into your options menu under status and then Transcend status. Inside of this menu, which is not too clean, but it's the best we can do for now, we're gonna probably try to even make it better. This is not final yet, but here you have a bunch of information. On the first page you have all the buffs and stat increases for the offensive side of the Transcend, and then you have the utility and defense mechanics on the second page. This is pretty straightforward. You have the different elemental. Offensive skills are just what they are. They just give you an elemental boost in that element. It's percentage based, so it's not like a flat number, from what I know. And yeah, we have fire, water, ice, thunder, dragon, and raw damage, of course. Then on the second page we have the utility and the defense skills, which are a bit more tricky. The first one is the cloak skill, which is elemental resistance and flat defense on top. Then you have the focus skill, which starts the quest with more Transcend cooldown than you usually do, but we're gonna come to that in a second. Then we have the mind, which extends the duration of the Transcend status inside of a quest. We have the wall skill, which I'm not completely sure how this interacts. It says it's like you will not be scared during Transcend, but I'm not sure in what extent this is like defined. If it's like you can't be like flinch anymore if you're having super armor, like somewhere it's also called super armor, I think. So if it's like something like the greatsword has, where you can press mid attack a button to have like a little 2 seconds or 1 second super armor which doesn't interrupt your attack, or if it's like making you immune to HG plugs. I didn't have time to like detailedly test this right now, but yeah, just keep in mind this copy means something, which I'm not quite sure. Worst case scenario, you just level this last bit if you're not sure, and that's it. Then you have the movement speed. I'm not sure why it says fire damage increase during Transcend here. This copy is just a translation thing, but this should be just give you movement speed. As you can also see, it's a little bit buggy here for me. Maybe it's because of the... I'm running still the old translation thing, which has its issues, but yeah. It is movement speed, I can confirm that. Then we have the recover, which is, you could say, life powder for the entire group. Healing yourself and everyone around you, and that's it. Right, so I mentioned leveling, and leveling is exactly what I meant. You have different levels, 1 to level 10, where you can level up each of these skills on this side, and then you see here we have on the defensive page the level 10, 10, 10, and then level 1, 1, and 5. So there's different levels to the different skills, and obviously as higher the level, as better they get. How do you get Transcend XP though? Transcend XP, on the other hand, is just accumulated while playing. The issue with it is, it's very slow. Probably one of these old MMORPG grind mechanics that shall keep you playing, of course. It's like a long-term goal, but it's very slow. I'm not sure if it's even influenced by anything. I know it's like a fixed number for sure. If you, like, for example, want experience 40 fire skill, then you need to use a weapon with fire elemental on the quest, and then after the quest you get points. But it's like super low. So as you can see here, you need like 15,500 for level 10 only, and you get like around 5 points per quest or something. So you can kind of do the math here, how much points you actually need. It's ridiculous. But of course, we have an opportunity to change that. There's books in this game, which are called ritual books. They are currently available in the road shop as by default. They may be, depending on what public server you play on, they will be different. But back in the days, they were available in like different locations, like shops, road, etc. And even the shop or whatever else. And of course, this will be happening at some point again when everything is like restored and we have access to all of it. Also, in my upcoming patch update 3.0, I have made custom quests so you can actually farm them with like a fixed chance for 1 every time, and if you finish a quest, and then chance for extra rewards on top of it. It is like a fair and square level. But the second reason why this is probably so slow is because this skill shall not be underestimated. You get a massive buff. If you max everything out of these skills, you have a massive buff. Of course, it's time-based inside of the quest, but as you can see here, you get like, alone from the defensive skill, you get 800 raw defense and 100 elemental resistance. That is actually huge. And then you get all the other stuff, of course, on top of that. And it is a huge buff if you max this out. It is definitely worth to grind, and can you give the edge in some fights you maybe struggle with. You can also lock these skills if you maybe don't want to use something for whatever reason. This is like up to you. You can lock the skills and then they are not active. You can also disable this entire mechanic entirely with the on controller select button. As you can see there, enable and disable. Then with the ritual books, you can just inject literally flat XP amounts depending on what book you have with the upgrade, which I can't show right now because everything is maxed out of this character. But if you press upgrade, then they want the books from you if you have it, and then you can just inject whatever book you want into, and then you get a fixed amount of XP, like 1,000, 3,000, depending on whatever book you have. There's 2 different types. There's like the ritual one and another one, which one is for the offensive skills and one is for the defensive skills, and they have different colors depending how good they are, like red, blue, and black. Black is like the best one, gives you like 3,000 XP or something in one go. There's a way to farm this up. So how does it work? Well, for that I prepared, of course, as I said, a little bit of footage, and I will talk about the different effects and stuff meanwhile. So first of all, if you have Transcend activated, you go on the quest and you notice that in your item bar there will be a new icon with like a little hunter guy, and that is your Transcend skill. It doesn't take any inventory slot up, so don't worry about that. But it will be there as long as you have Transcend active. So while you're on quest, this skill will kind of like load up. I was reading something about like, I didn't play myself yet, Bond Center 4 Ultimate, but there's something like a Vice Stone or something which you have available. This is kind of similar like that apparently. The difference is that this one has a cooldown. It loads up while you're being on quest. As long as you're on quest, this will load up over time. It's like around 10-50 minutes if you just not in battle. If you are like spotted by a monster and being in like the zone where the monster is, this is like halved, so it's like around, or like drastically reduced, so it's like around 5 minutes or something, without any buff from the initial charge you get. But as soon as it is ready, there will be a sound happening, and on bottom on your item bar you're gonna see a flashing light on the background of every one of your items. This means your Transcend skill is ready. So if you now go to your Transcend item, you can use Transcend mode. Very important here is that the Transcend animation has iframes, so you can actually dodge attacks with that animation. And if you have the healing skill level, then you can also kind of like do this in the pinch. Like you having low health and monsters preparing a deadly attack, try to transcend through it, and bam, you get healed, buffed, and dodge the attack. So after you activate it, you get all the buffs that you have leveled on that Transcend skill, and he will run out over time. If you hit monsters now, depending on the element on your weapon, fire, water, thunder, whatever, you will get special effects when you hit the monster now. This is just visual stuff. It's kinda neat. We like visual details. And you load up a special condition. So I talked about that there is a special finisher move which I'm gonna show off, but depending on what element your weapon has, you can do a special finisher move with special effects on top of it. But the condition for that is that as long as you're in the Transcend mode, you need to hit the monster a certain amount of times, hits by the way, not damage. You need to hit it a certain amount of times with your weapon while being in Transcend to get this skill activated. Very important here too is that you can actually stack that. So let's say you, especially like when you start out with Transcend and you don't have a long run time on that skill, you will probably not be able to hit that so easily depending on what monster you're fighting. So let's say you activate Transcend after 5 minutes, you hit the monster a few times, bum bum bum, but nothing happens. If you then activate Transcend after another 5 minutes when it's get ready again, the hits you did before still count towards the second one. So if you go into the second Transcend on the same quest and then hit the monster again, bum bum bum, it still counts the hits from before, and you can like super quickly load up the second time the hits. This is at least what I observed while playing with Transcend a lot of times. You can take that to your advantage. So don't worry if you don't hit it the first time. You can still, if you struggle with a quest, hit it on the second time. Of course, the only limitations here is the quest timer, so you need to like calculate at least like 10 to 50 minutes a fight in for the monster if you just have that. So, but what does it do? Well, this finisher move is a little animation you can actually miss. If you hit the monster enough times, the icon from the hunter from the Transcend menu will change into a knife icon. So you need to keep an eye out for that icon. There will be the same sound effect when the Transcend gets ready. You will like hear the sound effect. Then the icon will change to a knife icon. If you now put your weapon away, you sheath your weapon and then press the item button on the Transcend icon, you will start an animation which dashes you forward a little bit and then hits whatever is in front of you. This attack can miss. Very important. You don't want to miss this attack. Other than that, you can just activate this, start the animation, and if you hit a monster then, you're gonna see this in my footage, then the special thing, the attack will hit, do massive damage for whatever element you have, either it's raw damage, fire, water, whatever, and then do the special debuff on the monster too. To note here is, if the monster is immune against any of the like the debuffs or the elemental, it will switch to raw damage. So if you have a monster that is immune to fire damage, fire will obviously not work and change to raw damage. On mixed elements, this is chosen randomly apparently, but I can't confirm this completely yet because I know that mixed elements on like weapons without this Transcend special move, like the normal mixed elements, depend on what hit zone you hit on the monster. So if you hit like, you have a monster which has like 2 different hit zones which are weak against 2 different elements, and you have a weapon which has both of these elements, if you hit zone 1 with element A, then you trigger element A. If you hit zone 2 with element B, then you trigger element B from your weapon. It's not random completely. It depends on the hit zones, at least for my observations. This could be maybe here too, because it depends what hit zone you hit, apparently, with the special finisher move. Keep that in mind if you want to try that out, but I can't test this yet. But it's my suspicion at least. For now, let's go over what the different element debuffs are, and then we are mostly done. So you have your fire, you have your raw damage, of course. Raw damage is nothing, it's just pure massive raw damage. Then you have fire, which does massive fire damage, and on top of that it has the debuff that the fire triggers periodically on the monster, staggering it and doing more damage. Then you have water, which when it hits, does soften the hit zones, kind of like, you know, Clutch Claw from Monster Hunter World. Well, this is kind of the same. You hit the water attack, you do massive water damage, of course, and then you soften the hitbox on the monster. So if you maybe struggled with a weapon on hitting the tail or something because it's like super rough, well, it's now softer and you can probably just hit it normally until the debuff runs out. Then you have the ice element. The ice element freezes the monster solid on the spot. Yes, it's kind of funny, but you see that. It freezes the monster on the spot and you can do free damage. Thunder damage is also thunder and paralyzes the monster. Dragon does massive dragon damage and does KO damage too. So you can knock out with this attack a monster. I'm not sure if you need to hit the head exactly as hit zone, or if it doesn't matter where you hit and just does KO damage, like as a status element trigger. Test it out. I only hit the head so far with dragon elements, so that could be a thing. The current name for this special attack is Arcane Pulse by our lead translator, and yeah, can change in the future, but this is for now the name of this special attack. The Arcane Pulse. And that is actually all you need to know about this. As I say, this will probably like a super short video compared to the other ones. But it's maybe like a side mechanic, but it actually has some impact if you're playing with it. And take your time diving into that. It can be really helpful to help players out and give them like a little edge in the fights. Maybe the little edge they need when they struggle with a monster, and then just getting like this finisher move out, boom, massive damage. Maybe this is like the 2000 HP you needed to do damage, which you can't really do with your weapon at the moment, but you can use Transcend for that. So nice to look into, and yeah, that's it for today's video. I'm gonna see you all in the next video. You're gonna take care of yourself and each other. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. And we're gonna see each other in the next video. Good night, bye-bye.